Well, hello. Uh, I am a liar, and I'm going to tell you why that realization that I just came to, actually, uh, why that is helpful to you in your life here on January 5th, 2021. Everything that you say you want in your life that you don't have is an evidence of a lie that you are telling yourself. This is the realization that is staggering and uncomfortable, and on the other side, wildly liberating. See if this makes sense. If I say that I want a sandwich, then I go make a sandwich because that's what I want. If I say I want to build a business or lose weight or be the person that creates the kind of relationship that I imagine, then all of my actions are in line with accomplishing that desired outcome. The way that we lie to ourselves, the way that I have lied to myself, and the way that you have lied to yourself is we think of it as some like side project, some side project. Here's our life. This improvement that we want to make is this thing over here on the side. Man, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Because the thing that we want to do is the thing that we are actually doing. So what this thing over here, what we want is just it's like it's almost like a psychological trick that we're playing with ourselves, trying to trying to appease that part of us that really does want that. But we aren't living it. We aren't owning it. So here's the way that I think that this works. We come into this world with desires, with things to achieve, with a vision. Now we don't know it, like we're not conscious of it, but somewhere we have this feeling that something's going on, and our first job is to figure out what that is. Okay. So I believe that there's this like before I don't want to say before our existence, but before our bodies for sure, and concurrent with our existence, there's this force. We are a part of something that has always existed. And that thing that has always existed is doing something. It is purposeful, maybe is the best way to put it. We are a part of that. So we come into this world purposefully. I don't buy this whole thing of like, you can be whatever you want to be. I don't think that's true. You can create whatever life you want to create, for sure. But a short, fat guy isn't going to have the best chances of being a track star. We have a certain nature, is what I mean. Certain desires that are innate. So here's what happens. We start feeling them, and we don't have the maturity. We don't know what's happening. And we feel these desires, but we don't believe them, or we don't no, it's not that we don't believe them. It's not that. It's that we don't want them. We don't want them enough. Yeah. We want them kind of half-heartedly. And that creates this tension within us. To relieve that tension, we create this lie that says we can't have it because X, Y, Z. Okay, now we brought it all together. If you can start with the premise that you are lying, man, it's a difficult one because it's a bitter pill to swallow. It's something we don't want to admit. Certainly to other people, certainly not to ourselves either. And even when we admit it, we might not be being honest. It's one of those things that we can do as a vanity. But when we really get it, when we really are just completely honest, we say, I don't have the things that I want because I don't really want them. I don't really want them the way that I have told myself that I did. And now what happens is you begin to open up to understanding what your values are. What is important to you? And here's what I think you'll find. Because at first it sounds scary. It's like, oh man, I've wanted a certain level of success. I haven't wanted it enough. Maybe I don't really want it. But I don't like that feeling. So that tells me that can't be right. What it tells me is that there's probably values that are conflicting that make it seem impossible to achieve what I'm trying to achieve. There is the lie. Something that is preventing you from achieving what you say you want to achieve. We become focused on this problem instead of achieving it. Check this out. You're going along to do something. You run into something unexpected. Instead of that unexpected thing just going by and staying focused on the objective, we get sidetracked by the unexpected thing, and all of a sudden this has our attention. Excuse me. The funny thing is you can never solve a problem by focusing on it. That only makes it more of a problem. The point here is the point of all these different ways of trying to say this is when we are ruthlessly honest, then you are free. When you're ruthlessly honest with yourself, then you're free. And what's interesting is when you're ruthlessly honest with yourself, this is the place that you find self-acceptance. Because you have to accept yourself, to be honest with yourself. All of the justifications and all of the excuses that we make come excuses for why we've done what we've done, or things that we're embarrassed about or ashamed of. We have those justifications because we don't accept them. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like we can live our lives. We've got a certain amount of energy. We can live our lives constantly defending ourselves from perceived attack because we haven't been honest with ourselves. And we know it. And so we secretly expect retaliation for our dishonesty. We know, like in our soul, we know the laws of the universe. We know them. Like we know that we can't do something bad intentionally and expect a good outcome. So I think a lot of these things are like, these are primal ideas. The point is, as I get carried away there a little bit, the point is, being ruthlessly honest with yourself is what self-acceptance is. And when you are ruthlessly honest with yourself, then there's nothing else to do but love yourself. See, it's real confusing, all this talk about loving ourselves and this big crusade out there, which sounds great, except what ends up happening is people end up deceiving themselves and trying to use these mantras and these ideas to cover up the things that they don't accept. And man, you just gotta unearth that stuff. Maybe unearth it is the wrong visual. You gotta face it. You can't ignore it. There's a reason that every myth, every spiritual teaching, every mystical teacher, they all speak of some sort of dark night of the soul. And look, man, that is not easy. It is not easy. It is terrifying at times. And man, I mean, call me weird, but I think that we are meant to go through that. I believe that is our destiny. And that if we don't, we have, I don't want to say we messed up, but we missed an opportunity. Because look, I mean, if we live forever, right? We are a part of this being that has always existed and that will always exist, and being this force, this energy, we are a part of that. So we go on. But man, I kind of think that's what we came to earth to do. Like Jesus talked about, you must be born again in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. I don't think that there's a physical heaven, but it is like the kingdom of heaven to me is like the next level of video game, where it's way cooler and you got way more powers. And I do mean this. Like, you can see people who are adept at life, who make money easily, who make friends easily, who have great relationships, who they just seem to live a charmed life. I used to think when I was a kid, I thought that was like because they were raised by a certain socioeconomic demographic. But I think those people are the people who have been born again. Not in the religious weirdo sense. Not like they're all secretly carrying Bibles in their blue blazers. But they've been born again to the next level in life. I think that's our main purpose. So, pretty deep stuff here. Started off by saying that we're lying to ourselves. Now we're all talking about the Bible and the kingdom of heaven and all this stuff. Hopefully, you can see the thread that ties all this together, and that is, believe it or not, you, person who may be much more aware of your failures or regrets or disappointments. It sounds incredible to say this, but there is so much power, to create, to almost magically create. When you talk to people who've, they've been at a low point in life and then, they make it, right? They've been working away and then all of a sudden they make it. They tell you just how quickly it all changed. Man, it was just like all of a sudden. Now, of course, they've been working on things for years before that. But that's how it is. It's just all of a sudden, just like that. The power that you have to create a life that you would be amazed by. How do you do it? Because we don't want to just fill ourselves with a bunch of rah-rah and grab our pom-poms. How do we do it? Well, it starts by recognizing that you have been lying to yourself. And the reason it starts there is because that's where the power is. Because the power rests in knowing that you have you are the only one who has the power to create your life. And if there are things that you say you want, but you aren't getting, then recognize that you are lying. Because this helps you to understand how this world works. The most important thing in this exercise is that it allows you to understand and have this aha of how this world works. How to achieve your goals, that's another discussion. But when you recognize, wait a minute, I don't want those things because I don't have them. I want exactly what I have right now. And that might be disappointing. But if you can get this allows you to see how this world works. That you get what you want. And if you want something better, you have to want something better. In the same way that you want what is worse right now, you want it habitually without even thinking about it. The things that you want now that are unsatisfying, you want them because you trained yourself to want them through habit. So now we got to go to training. We got to start training on what do you want to want instead. And it might be worthwhile getting some help in that training. Because you got to figure out what are you going to train on. So first you got to find out, well, what do I want? This is the question that so many people find difficult to answer. So you might start with, I want to know what I want. I can see how this conversation can go so many ways that are tangential. So I want to keep some sort of focus here. Start with, just consider this, that maybe you're lying. Not because you're a bad person, not because you're a liar and you can't be trusted, but because you're a human being. And if you can get that, then you can see, wait a minute, everything I see is because of the choices that I made to get here. I want exactly what I have. If I want something better, I have to want it better. I got to think of a better way to say that, but just start with that realization, and maybe you can come up with a better way to say it. But if you just start with that realization, hope this is helpful, and talk to you soon.